In every generation, two Prose Bros are born. Chosen to watch every episode of Buffy and tell you what they think about them. This is the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. Season 2.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Prose Bros Visit Sunnydale. I am Eddie Cruz.
And I am Jeff.
And this is the fourth or fifth episode?
I believe it's the fifth.
Yes, Reptile Boy.
Reptile
Boy.
Yeah.
That character from Mortal Kombat. Right?
This is actually his son.
Oh, I thought it'd be a prequel to Mortal Kombat.
Is it?
Like it's just when Reptile's young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Boy.
I was thinking it was,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Not important.
Not important at all. How you been, Jeff? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm good.
Good.
I saw The Passengers.
Oh, really? Was that any good?
Somewhat.
Right on. I saw Sing.
What is that?
Matthew McConaughey, Scarlett Johansson, a whole bunch of other famous people sing.
Okay.
And it's a Pixar movie, so they're all pigs. And
okay. Yeah, I know exactly. Good?
Somewhat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we saw movies we somewhat enjoyed.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been good.
Awesome, man. All right, well, let's get into the nitty-gritty, right?
Yeah,
Let's jump into this episode.
What did you think of this? We'll start with what you thought of it going in, and then upon rewatch.
All right. I remember this episode very well, but not like super well. Going into the rewatch, I had kind of forgotten the specifics, but I had, I guess, the outline in my head. I forgot how funny it was. There's a lot of really good lines in this episode.
Yeah, and Zander in drag is amusing.
Yeah, Zander was good. Zander was a good Zander this one. I enjoyed the way he was portrayed. I enjoyed his relationship with Angel. Overall, I thought it was a really good episode going back into it, and I enjoyed watching it and rewatching it right now.
Yeah, I liked this episode back then, and I like it now. I remember this episode pretty well, in particular just because it was one of those, Jason was talking about every time he wanted to watch an episode, graduation was on. Well, this was kind of like my graduation for me. Reptile Boy would always seem to be on whenever I would flip to WB, CW, whatever it was, and watch. So I remember this being pretty amusing, and upon rewatch, I did like it. It felt a little... It's kind of half Monster of the Week, half not, and I want to get into that a little bit later. But good episode, not the best.
I think it's the beginning of the hybrid episode, right? Is that what you mean? More like it's like Monster of the Week, but it gives a little bit away,
and it's advancing the overall plot of the season. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's something that I think that this show starts doing well in season 2. That it did horribly in season 1, which is in season 1 there was no idea of trying to make a mythology continue, right? It was just kind of like, episode, done, next episode. This one, it's like, all right, let's start this mythos.
I'm still waiting for those praying mantis eggs to hatch.
Dude, absolutely. They already hatched, man. You're waiting for them to come. They probably just took off. They left Sunnydale and they took over like Rancho Cucamonga or something, and that place is gone now.
Hung out with the workaholics. They are the workaholics.
Yeah. It's just the 3 workaholic guys. Yeah, but it was a good episode. What happened this episode, Jeff?
So it starts out with the gang at a slumber party at Buffy's house.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird for me. Number one, I still had slumber parties in high school and whatnot, but stopped having slumber parties with girls that were my friends.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, oh God, poor Zander, you fucking friend zone bastard. You're just one of the girls.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He is definitely friend zoned in a bubble of friend zoned right there.
And they're watching Bollywood stuff. Is it just
isn't that
what's
weird?
where do they?
That's the one. I mean, I remember watching a lot of Asian movies and a lot of really, really garbage, like, special interest movies. You know, this when you went to Blockbuster Video, they had, like, all the movies, like, comedy, drama, and then they had special interest. And that's where you'd find, like, Kentucky Fried Movie and, like, weird movies, you know, that were, like, yeah, kind of, I guess, different.
I thought that's where you could rent, like, the UFC fights and
That
stuff like
too.
that, just random
Yeah,
shit.
that, Faces of Death, and all sorts of, you know, Cannibal Holocaust, weird Hunger with David Bowie. Did you ever see The Hunger?
No.
Wow, what a horrible movie. Yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, anyway.
So they go to that section, and I guess
they go to that section and
or was it on
movie.
TV? I don't know. Who knows? But you see Zander, you know, super friend zone early on in the episode. You cut to a girl running from, it looks to me like a frat house or some sort of large domicile. I don't know. She starts running and she's being chased by these guys in hoods. She gets abducted by these guys, drops her little bracelet.
This is where Liam Neeson comes in and gets on the phone and tells her captors that he only has one skill and he's gonna fuck him up and gets her back, right?
She got straight tooken.
She got straight tooken, bro.
Taken for tooken.
No, cut back to high school, right? With Cordelia and her talking about college guys.
Yeah, they're walking through the halls.
Well,
She's talking about college boys and how they're... I don't even know what the fuck she was saying. I guess it was just teenage bullshit, and I
Yeah.
kind of zoned out.
she's just like, the big leagues, you know?
Yeah. Going...
She finally got to the big leagues, and that's college boys. So she's really excited about this party or something, or the fact that these guys are going to drive their Trans Am.
Well, does she know about that yet?
I guess not.
I can't remember if that's the point. So we see her talking about these college boys, and Buffy and Willow are talking about Angel. The overall theme of this episode being, I don't know, what would you say, dating?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dating in high school and the possible dangers of it.
Compatibility and who deserves to be with whom or whatever.
So right after that, Giles confronts Buffy, says, yeah, typical Giles speech this season, which I feel like is, Buffy, you're the Slayer, you need to train, you can't be dating, you can't have a love life. It felt very typical to me, so it's just another one of those scenes. After that, Cordy sees those dudes in the car, the frat boys, which is super weird. We mentioned that during the episode. There's these college guys going to high school
like,
to pick up chicks.
Basically, even she's like, well, who are you or whatever, and the guy's just like really, really, really into himself. But the biggest thing is at this point she would be 16 or 17 and he would be 22 because he's a senior in college. That's crazy to me. When I was in senior in college, I was already like not trying at all, not even to be with the freshmen.
And he's flirting, at least the Tom guy, the more likable douche, the charming douche, right?
Yeah.
Who ultimately turns out to be the leader of the douches of this cult. But he's like being very coy with Buffy and flirtatious, knowing like she's 16. He asks her basically, what grade are you in?
And she's like a sophomore.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, me too, only not really. And watching it now, I felt kind of uncomfortable seeing this dude he's a man, hit on this girl. I don't know if it made me feel any better or worse knowing, oh, it's just so he can feed this girl to a snake monster instead of trying to take advantage of her.
I thought you were going to say instead of trying to feed her his snake.
There's that. The other dude did.
Yeah, there you go. I think that definitely it's really, really, really creepy. I get creeped out when I see this in bars with like maybe somebody that's 30 to 21 or 27 to 21. When a friend comes in and they have a 21-year-old with them, it's like, ugh, what are you doing?
See, but I don't feel as bad. A 16, 17-year-old.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel bad when I see it that way, and this is way worse than that.
When with a friend with a 21-year-old, it's like, what are you doing? This,
yeah, like this
come
is
on.
like, what are you doing? Like, I should call somebody about this. Yeah, I guess he's only trying to kill her. So it's
like
cool.
that's yeah. He's only tried to feed her to his snake monster, his snake god, to profit or whatever.
So he can get like a Lambo or something like that.
So she meets this dude Tom, and after several scenes going back and forth between Buffy and Cordelia, Buffy decides, fuck it, I will go. I need to have a social life, a dating life beyond being a slayer. They both end up at the party, which Zander decides, I'm gonna look after these girls, but he's really not, right?
Yeah.
His interest was piqued once he heard about the orgy.
The Orgy, that awesome band from the 2000s. The Orgy. Is it called The Orgy or Orgy?
I think it was orgy.
Oh, right on. Yeah, Zander is kind of... Do you think they're moving him away from maybe his attraction to Buffy and just kind of making him a horny teenager more and more?
I think so.
Because it seems like they kind of took him into a comical aspect now this episode.
Instead of always pining after Buffy, he's just like, oh man, I'm just a 16, 17-year-old boy. I'll take what I can get when I can get it.
Yeah, definitely it moved him into the respect of like a generalized 16-year-old horniness.
And his jealousy comes across a lot more humorous in this episode than creepy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems kind of weird because when he gets to the frat house and they dress him up like a woman and all that, he's hitting on two girls and being, I guess, pretty successful at it. Using two claws from a lobster?
They seemed like they were into it, the girls.
They were laughing at everything he was saying. Yeah, that wouldn't have happened. That was weird. It seemed very out of place. But it seemed maybe like he would have maybe joined the frat house if he had a chance at meeting women.
Yeah, or they would have allowed him.
Yeah, there you go. Isn't that why everybody joins the frat house?
Being allowed to?
Being allowed to? No, to get women.
I don't know. I think
I'm not really sure why people join frat houses.
Well, based on this episode, I think part of it was to be prosperous. People join frat houses. I'm sure part of that reason, partying's another one, but to build social connections in the job world.
Yeah.
So it's this big brotherhood, I guess, and you all take care of each other. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So that's the idea.
Right on.
But then it gets warped like it did here.
You brought this up that it seems like it gets warped. The writer had something very much against frat boys and frat houses.
Yeah.
It seemed very... I mean, they're not painted in a good light, obviously, feeding women to reptile monsters.
So David Greenwalt both wrote this and directed it. He's, like you said earlier, too, the guy behind Angel. It was
the
him
best
and
show
Josh
ever
Whedon.
Created ever.
But
Besides Buffy.
They really hit home the idea that frat boys are fucking terrible people. There is nothing redeeming about any of these guys.
No.
They're almost pure evil in a show where even evil monsters can be redeemed.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, and there's certain lines, even, you see Zander when he starts to fight against the frat boys. He's all, this is for the brah, this is for this, and this is for the last 16 and a half years. It was like the writer added that specifically because he had an agenda. He had an issue with these frat boys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really don't think that I've ever met anybody in a frat that's been horrible like this. But these were sociopaths. It's kind of crazy to think that there were so many people in a house that joined this frat house that were okay with killing women.
It's weird how the idea of frats have changed within movies and TV over the last several decades.
Yeah.
You get to see Animal House or even Revenge of the Nerds, where you see some of these guys just partying, having fun. And later on, it gets to the 90s and maybe early 2000s where it's like, oh, they're just bro-y douchebags. And I think now with some of those Seth Rogen and I can't remember the other guy's name, those new frat boy movies where it's a lot more humorous and less...
Oh, the Neighbors movie?
Yeah, it seems a lot less...
Zach Efron, he's so hot.
It still seems pretty douchey, but it doesn't seem like this. It doesn't seem evil.
Yeah. And I think that whole thing is not trying to make them... Yeah, it's trying to get back to the Animal House appeal of it. The whole, let's just get fucked up, pretty much.
It's
right?
like these guys aren't the best people, but they're not trying to sacrifice women or take advantage of women sexually.
Yeah, and John Belushi's there, so it's okay.
So once Zander is there, Buffy decides to kind of finally let go, take a drink from this guy, Tom, who I guess ends up roofing her. She has a roofie, right?
It's really obvious, too, that he's roofing her because he has 2 drinks that are the same and then 1 drink that's not the same. And he gives the 2 drinks that are the same to him and his friend and gives her this clear one with a lime on it and looked like just like a straight shot of vodka. And yeah, I mean, that's just common sense. That's got to be in a Slayer handbook somewhere.
That's got to be in the 16, 17-year-old girl handbook.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't take drinks. Girls, don't take drinks from strange dudes.
Yeah, take your own Mike's Hard Lemonade to the party.
Particularly when you ask if there's alcohol in a drink and the person responds with just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
I don't like that.
That means that there's something else in there, too.
Just a smidge?
Like it's like a recipe. Just a smidge of vodka. We gotta leave room for the rooflin.
So both Buffy and Cordelia get roofied. And you find out that these frat boys are really praying, or what would you say they're doing?
A yearly toll.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a tax.
To
this demon.
To this big snake monster who's a snake reptile?
Yeah, it was weird. It reminded me of this old horror movie called like The White Snake in the Barn or something. I don't remember what it was.
It sounds like something that was Japanese and just translated very awkwardly.
Yeah, it wasn't. I forgot what that movie was called.
The White Snake in the Barn while the grass is on the field.
That's like a Carlos Williams poem.
I was actually thinking that could be like a Gabriel Garcia Marquez short story.
Okay, yeah, I think it's a reptile. it's a snake. Snake. Yeah. I think it was pretty good makeup there too.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was worried because I didn't remember if it was going to be CG or not. I was like, oh, I hope this is not crappy CG. But I remember liking this reptile snake thing, and I was like, oh, I hope it's not bad. And I saw, it's like, cool. It's like, it's not an effect. It's makeup, prosthetics.
Yeah,
it's a person.
They did this great thing where they used kind of a web. They gave him a webbed armpit, and I thought that was a really, really good idea.
He was a good-looking monster.
Yeah, good-looking monster. It seemed practical effects always win out.
By the end of the episode, the rest of the gang, Willow, Giles, and Angel, realize that the bracelet that Buffy found earlier when patrolling belonged to this girl who, I guess, went to this Kent prep school or whatever, college, and she was abducted by the same guys at the frat house. They all meet up. They all enter the house, start kicking some frat boys' ass. Buffy, who's downstairs, eventually gets free. She's chained up. She's about to be fed to this snake monster, gets free, kills the snake monster, and I guess all the frat boys get arrested somehow.
Yeah, and go to jail for forever. They're like, life sentences for everybody.
Angel arrests them? Does he citizens arrest? What the fuck happens here? I
guess so. It seemed really, really weird. And also, like, they're sentenced by Monday. Like the next day the kids go to school, it's in their school newspaper that they're going to jail, I guess.
And there was some exposition that I thought was pretty funny at the end of the episode when they're talking not only about the guys being sentenced. They're all, oh yeah, the cops found tons of bones going back
like
50 years. And now, since the snake monster is dead, all these people are committing suicides, and they no longer have profitable businesses and whatnot.
Yeah, people on boards are committing suicides, which made me think of the Hudsucker Proxy. I love that scene. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It opens with this awesome like CEO of a board jumping on top of a desk during a meeting and just starting to sprint towards the window. And he just jumps out the window like with a look of bliss on his face.
It's a Cohen, right?
Yeah.
I've actually never seen that one.
You need to watch that one. That's fun. Anyway, that anytime I think of a CEO jumping out of a window, that's how he does it.
That's what plays. I'm going to check that out. So we see that scene. They're all talking in the bronze. Cordy is now kind of dating Jonathan, which I guess is just she's taking advantage of him.
Yeah, she's just asking him to do stuff for her, and she's like, "Oh, always date younger guys," switching what she said at the beginning, and just making him buy her stuff.
A nice little bookend, I guess. Cordy didn't learn anything really
ever,
and Angel's there. Xander's talking shit.
That
about
was
Angel.
great. He's talking shit about Angel, and then as soon as he gets Angel's like,
"Hey, what's up, man?"
Hey, what's up, man?
I love that too.
That was awesome.
Great timing.
Great timing, great delivery. Everything was perfect.
But the end was weird too, with Buffy being like, "Yeah, we can get coffee sometime." It's supposed to come off as flirtatious and positive for their budding relationship, but I thought it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, it's also weird when they start talking. I think is Willow talking to him directly, and she's points out the fact that he's 260 or 240, and she's 16.
Well, they bring that up earlier when Buffy and Angel are arguing.
Yeah,
in the graveyard.
That was just awkward. Like to bring that up multiple times. I mean, think about somebody that's stating this like 26 and somebody that's 46. The more you bring it up, the more you gotta admit that it's bothering you.
Well, yeah.
That's gotta be a horrible, horrible thing again.
Well, I'm sure it makes it even more weird for a vampire. It's not like, oh, I'm 46 and I'm dating this 16-year-old. It's like, oh, I'm 243.
I remember President Polk.
Do you think all the other vampires are like, dude, you're not only are you dating a human, she's 16?
They're like, you're old for a vampire. So yeah, it's weird and fucked up. This episode's rather perverted.
It's trying to say something, and I think if we talk about this morally, it's one, girls be careful about dating the right person.
Yeah.
And that's part of the overall theme story arc for the season. So that's why I believe it's kind of half Monster of the Week, half not. So there's that, but it's like, fuck, don't trust a frat boy? Or is it don't trust guys who randomly show up at high school who are old? But Angel does that.
Yeah.
So what is this saying? I
mean, everything it's saying is correct. It's saying all those things, and it should have. Don't trust any of those guys. Don't date a 260-year-old vampire. Don't date guys that go to your school. You know what this episode did? Scared me about the future of my daughter.
Did it?
I'm gonna fucking just stand outside her school with a baseball bat that has barbed wire around it like Negan does.
Well, just don't let her date a vampire. And
okay.
I can't get over like the awfulness of these frat dudes and how much worse they were than just any standard monster.
Absolutely. They were monsters. And to be honest, it makes sense because those people are probably like, that's what a trunk cabinet looks like. That's what he surrounds himself with. So that's what the White House looks like now.
Maybe. I think we've had enough Trump talks for the last several podcasts.
But let me just add one. No, just kidding.
Does it make you feel any better? It's not making me feel any better.
Yeah, no.
Let's get back to vampires. But I like that kind of evil.
There you go. Yeah, so it was a good episode overall. I really like what they did with the overall arc of this season. It has a lot to do with Buffy and Angel's relationship, and this was a really good way of getting that on track.
Yeah.
It was the first episode where it felt like they actually had a little bit of chemistry too, even though that one scene where they're talking to each other and at the end of it she goes, "When you kiss me, I want to die," was really melodramatic.
Well, she's 16, 17.
Yeah, but damn, dude.
I expect that.
I guess.
I expect that out of her, and Sarah Michelle Gellar pulls that off. Sometimes
She's got pouty face.
sometimes David Boreanaz's acting, not sometimes, a lot of the times, it's like, dude, you're 200 and something years old and you're still acting like a child. Does being a vampire stunt your emotional growth? I guess it would, because you have no soul.
Yeah, but he has a soul.
Oh, yeah. He's just a douche then.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe his soul was pulled out when he was douchey and then put back in and he was still douchey.
Yeah, he has a lot of growing to do.
Yeah, he has a lot of growing up to do.
Can I talk about something else that I realized in this episode that I'm not sure has happened before?
Yeah.
I'm glad you said yes, Eddie. Have we seen Buffy as the damsel in distress before this? We've seen her in trouble in battle, but not chained up, not being taken advantage of by
The
men.
witch. Not by men. No. In The Witch she was.
So in The Witch, I didn't think of it as like a damsel in distress kind of thing.
But
She
they
was
had to
more
save
like
her life.
poisoned. Yeah, but I didn't get that sense. Did you from The Witch?
No.
This one felt like that for me.
Maybe the master in a certain way. The way he could beckon her and make her do whatever he wanted.
He's like a creepy, flamboyant, pedophile Dracula. I don't even know
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah, something about him was just like very fuckable though to her.
the master. You fuck the master.
I don't know, man. Maybe with that makeup on. I'm just joking.
I think you're too old by like 25 years.
just put on some like Depends.
I don't think you're the master's type. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I can try. Yeah, I agree with you. Yes, this is the first time that she really comes off as a damsel in distress against men.
And I thought that was perfect going into the rest of the season. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers what's to come, but this show's pretty old. You guys know what's going to happen.
Yeah, guys, it came out like 20 years ago.
But that build up and seeing it, because at the time when I saw this, I didn't realize what was going to happen with Angel, but I'm like, oh crap, it's starting now. And that's cool, and that makes me like this episode even better. Even though it's a good episode, not great, not awful. It's entertaining.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it. It's got its good stuff. It progresses everything well. It wasn't a hush, but I mean, so few are.
Yeah, that's
why Hush is Hush.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you have anything else to say about the episode before we go into the deaths?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I kind of mixed, I guess, my frat boys in a robe, because I remember the guy from what's the Tim Allen show where he goes ho 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 ho?
Home Improvement?
Yeah. Do you mean the older son from that show?
Oh yeah, that was season 7.
Okay, so that's gonna be season. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I remember him being in this, and I was like, I was like, that's not the guy from Home Improvement, but the other one looked like JTT.
I think it was just that hairstyle was popular.
Justin, yeah, I think it was his.
Which I guess another thing I'll
Justin
mention.
Taylor Thomas?
I don't know.
JTT. Yeah, Justin Taylor Thomas.
I don't want to think that hard about teenage heartthrobs in the 90s. I'm not the master.
I loved those. Maybe I'm the master.
You're going to turn into the master.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Now I'm not gonna sleep.
So I do want to say this right before we go into the deaths. Cordelia, not learning anything. She goes back and forth between growing as a character and going right back to where she was.
Yeah.
She starts insulting Buffy's hair, which, as far as I'm concerned, Buffy's hair looked way better. It was way cuter than Cordelia's weird kind of, I don't know, chola bang curl she got going on.
She had a very, very big bang curl there. I could have stuck the size of a broomstick. I could have stuck that without touching her forehead or her hair through her bang surfer. What is that called?
Eddie is currently using his fingers to try to connect. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I wish I'm working on video, not actively, but I want to get video for this podcast.
We're
we'll
working
see.
on it. We're working on it. Then we're gonna have a YouTube account. Then we're gonna take over the world. And then I'm gonna get the khakis. And then we're gonna get the money.
Basketball.
Yeah.
So the deaths.
How many deaths were there, Jeff?
Just one. Just that snake monster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't kill any of the dudes.
Yeah,
they were very killable.
I was kind of hoping they're I can't even say that word.
Reprehensible?
Reprehensible.
I can say that one. It's like one of the few words I can say.
I'm not even drinking. They're reprehensible, and they deserve to die, but they didn't.
Yeah. I would enjoy that episode of the house burned down at the end. Symbolically, at least.
Dude, they need that set. That's another set to use.
Yeah, we saw the cemetery set being used a lot this episode over and over.
Don't we have an ending for this podcast now?
Yeah, it's like, the end. See you guys next time.